All right. It is, as usual, RedpoleQ here. And along with me are my fearless roommates.
Mr. Wright.
And
McConnell.
all right. The usual suspects. So today we've got some exciting stuff for you. And you and you. We have two questions from listeners. One is about how to get a girl who may have deleted your number. Really, this is just how to get a girl who's making it hard for you to get her. This is one of my areas of expertise. We're going to talk about how to get Asian girls to send you naked pics on social media. Well, not social media, on messaging apps. And I presume he means without paying. It's not listed here, but I assume that's what he means. And
I would hope so.
And we're going to close it out with a discussion of day game versus night game. Last time we talked a little bit about where you can meet girls in various day game and night game venues and some of the differences. And today we are going to talk about the differences between day game and night game.
This is 10% luck, 20% skill, 15% concentrated power of will, 5% pleasure, 50% pain, and 100% reason to remember the name.
So, yeah. All right. Let's see. I think we'll go with the girls who are hard to get question first. Probably. Then we can talk about naked pics.
Sure. I mean, something you always say that I think is quite true, especially in Asia, is that girls will never make it easy. Well, especially hot girls. Girls will not make it easy for you.
Ugly girls.
Ugly girls, well, they have to. I mean, that's kind of their job. But
their job.
But like hot girls, I mean, but I would say not even just women, but anyone who has a lot of value or a lot of options they don't really have any incentive to make it easy for you unless you obviously have very high value or something that they want or need.
Yeah, we were talking about this just a couple of weeks ago, weren't we?
Yeah.
What was that in reference to? You remember?
I think that was talking about my work situation.
Ah, okay, right. Yeah, that's definitely true. I mean, you have a girl who, well, according to, okay, so let me read the question, and then because I think you will have a good idea of what this girl's status might be. So the question is how to get a girl back who has deleted your number but you have her email. Now, first of all, I'm wondering how he knows she's deleted his number, because anyway, who even has phone numbers anymore? All right,
well, I guess
those
in
of
the
you
States
who aren't living in Asia, phone numbers are now essentially obsolete. They're really just for emergency situations at this point, because all Asians, whether it's Japan, Korea, Thailand, the Philippines, Japan, Korea, China, everybody is on messaging apps. And the messaging app of choice is dependent on the country. So maybe we'll talk about text messaging next time. Yeah, we'll talk about text messaging next time.
Sure.
But you should know that pretty much people don't really exchange phone numbers. It's very anachronistic. Oh wait, that's not entirely true.
It's
in
good.
Places that use WhatsApp, Hong Kong and Singapore,
Yeah.
and in Malaysia, I guess.
Right, but if you get phone numbers, it's good because you can then use the phone numbers to look up all the messaging app.
Sometimes.
Not
always true. I stopped getting phone numbers here because of that. Several girls gave me their phone number, and then I couldn't message them online, and then I was like, what do I do? Am I supposed to call them?
Yeah. So beware.
So, yeah.
Sometimes you can use that.
All right, great. So let's continue with the rest of the question. To put things in context for that question, I met a Korean girl in a club. We had a great night and really connected. Logistics were terrible, despite us both wanting to have sex. We then agreed to meet the next day, but Guess what happened?
Well, she didn't show up. Obviously.
She flaked, and she was sick and had to rest because she had work in the evening. I did have her number and messaged her, but since I live in another country now, and she is a cabin crew, it's hard to keep in touch. It may be a matter of one-itis. When you really like a girl, it's hard to get her out of your mind, even if you are dating other great girls.
Oh, maybe they were SMSing, and because if you send an SMS message to a number that's either blocked or no longer exists, it'll ping back an error.
Oh,
So maybe that's why he thought she deleted his number.
Yeah, it's possible. But I think the point is first of all, you know, she may not have deleted your number. I think it's rare that girls delete, Asian girls anyway, that they delete numbers. Although back in the day, I knew a girl. What she would do is if she didn't want to talk to a guy anymore, she would put on his name, she would change it to "Do Not Answer." So because normally if she just erased it and they contacted her, she'd be curious and she'd go, "Oh, who is this?" And she'd want to. But if it's a "Do Not Answer," then she would know. This is a girl that used to date Gavin from the old crew.
Oh.
It's a good technique. Have to remember that one.
That he used to call, what did he call her? Mocky bitch. That's what he called her. Not
Other good stories about her too.
Yeah, but maybe another time we'll get into that. Okay, so let's break this down. So you got this girl who's, first of all, she's Korean. So already you can expect to have so she's Korean. So already you can expect her to be more difficult than your average girl. Then she's cabin crew. So in addition to the various cabin crew scheduling problems, you also have the status factor of her being cabin crew. In addition to that, you have the mental problems of cabin crew girls. Now I guess maybe it's possible that for new cabin crew, maybe they're not so problematic, but we had a guy, we have a good friend of ours, who almost exclusively dates cabin crew, and they are really problematic. And I've had my run-ins with cabin crew, and it's never been fun. So you say that you really connected and logistics were terrible despite us both wanting to have sex. Now I'm really trying to figure out how you can be so certain that you both wanted to have sex. I can understand why you would be certain that you wanted to have sex, but I'm not sure how you can be certain that you both wanted to have sex.
Well, maybe she was sending signals, or she was really, intimate, or
I got a question
something
for you.
like that.
Okay, let's talk about that. How do you know when a girl wants to have sex with you?
When she has sex with you.
Ah.
Well, if she comes back to my place and sits on my bed, I
might think that maybe she wants to have sex.
Maybe she wants to have sex. But still, I'm a bit cautious.
Right. I mean, the fact is that you can't know that a girl wants to have sex with you unless she says, "I want to have sex with you." But if
even
she's
then,
telling you that she wants to have sex with you, that probably is about to be followed with a "but." I want to have sex with you, but I have a boyfriend. But I have work early tomorrow. But
I'm on my period.
Oh yeah, I'm on my period. But I think it's too soon.
Yeah.
But you're not my boyfriend.
Oh yeah, that's another one. So I would be very careful about any suspicion that you. Well, not suspicion. I mean, I think suspicion a girl might want to have sex with you is good, but I think any certainty around it. I mean, yeah, just I think anyone who has any real experience has lost in all sorts of situations where they should have won, and has won in any number of situations where they were sure they were going to lose. Like just last weekend. Isn't that right, Mr. Wright?
Yeah.
Actually, you've had this happen kind of twice since you've been here.
The girl,
the virgin that we talked about.
Yeah.
You were like, "Oh, she's a virgin. I think I'm gonna bail."
Well, I still tried, but I was prepared to bail when I found out she was a virgin.
Exactly,
but
that's my point. You were like, "Oh, this is a low probability situation."
But once I found out the background of it, then it was like, "Oh, okay, maybe it's be alright to try."
Is real.
The thirst is real. Yeah, but so anyways, with her, I think I mentioned in an earlier podcast that she wanted to lose it, but just hadn't found a guy she thought was worth losing it to yet.
Right, and and once again, if you meet a girl off of Tinder and on the first date you find out she's a virgin and she's looking for the right guy to lose it to, you probably don't think that's you on your first date with her, meeting her for the first time.
Well, unless you're me. But.
So right, so okay, so that's the next thing. Now, the next day you agreed to meet, but she flaked. Well, that happens all the time with Koreans. They are so incredibly flaky. I mean, really, it's quite rare for them to show up when they say they're going to, I would say. And, I mean, Koreans especially, don't get me wrong, there are plenty of other girls in Asia that won't show up when they say they will, but Koreans especially. I mean, we had guys who have, who schedule multiple girls on the same day with 2-hour time slots between them, with plans to cancel on, the later girls if the earlier girls show up, because flaking is so common. I remember Blue M once, he was so upset because he'd scheduled 3 girls on the same day, and they all flaked. And, it doesn't mean that they're not going to show up later. I think every Korean girl that I've had sex with flaked. Well, okay, it's not every, because there was like, a girl that I flew to Beijing. So that she didn't flake. She showed up. But most every girl that I had sex with, every Korean girl that I had sex with, flaked on me at least once. And I think that's pretty typical. I maybe your experience is a little bit less flaky.
Maybe less flaky, but not. I have had plenty of flakes from Koreans.
Yeah. So the fact that she flaked is not surprising. And if you got really strong signals that she wanted to have sex, then her chances of flaking are even higher.
Yeah. As contrary to what you would think from a Western perspective, for an Asian, if they show this really slutty side of themselves, especially Koreans, then they feel a lot of shame and remorse afterwards if you didn't handle it well.
Yeah.
And so they'll just be like, oh, I can't possibly meet that guy again. That would, if I had, I at least I didn't have sex with him. That would have been awful.
Yeah, right. So she wants to be sure that you don't think she's a slut, and the best way to do that is not to show up.
Yeah.
So now once again, I'm not saying that she couldn't have been sick. It's certainly possible. I mean, girls do get sick and cancel, and you find out they really are sick. But you should keep these things heavily in mind, especially with Koreans. Now, as far as her being a flight attendant and flight attendant schedules are a mess. They really are, because there are days when they're not working, but they can't go out because they're on standby. So if someone else gets sick, then they have to cover for her. And actually, when I was in Qatar recently, I found out that it's really common for girls to claim sickness on particular routes, just because they don't want to fly those routes. So I think it was maybe the route to India and to Nigeria, I think, were the most common. Oh yeah, I really don't feel well today. And there's other things where if girls are doing flights of certain distances, then they have to be well rested enough, so they have to be at their home or at the dorm by a certain time the night before or whatever. So there's a lot of factors here. If you told us exactly what country you were in, that would help immensely, because that varies from country to country. Because, for example, in Qatar, all the flight attendants have a 4 a.m. curfew, regardless of what their work schedule is. They all have to be back and forth. And they all have to live in company housing. So, all right, now that we've covered all of those things, let's talk about how do you get a girl who's not making it easy for you. Also known as how to get any girl that's worth anything.
Yeah. How to get any quality girl in Asia.
Yeah.
Or anywhere.
So, first of all, I think, guys expect, Western guys especially, they expect that, if a girl likes them, then, she'll make it pretty easy to meet, and she'll be responsive on text. And if she's not doing that, then it means she's not interested.
Well, there's also the case when Western guys first come to Asia, their whole perspective on what is high quality for them is kind of skewed. So the girls, they may get a lot of attention from certain girls, but they don't realize that these girls are considered very low quality in that country.
Yes, absolutely. So for example, if you show up in Thailand and you really like dark-skinned girls, you'll have a field day because, it's better in Thailand to be white-skinned and fat than it is to be dark and, super sexy.
And if you like dark and super sexy, Thailand definitely has a lot of options for you, especially in Isan.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So, and that can be the case in lots of places. I mean, all over Asia, Western guys, when they come to Asia, initially they tend to like very Asian-looking girls, with very, like, small eyes and, round faces.
Oh, yeah.
And, in Asia, those girls, nobody wants them. They just,
Yeah, so, I mean...
you want an Asian girl with small eyes for? That doesn't make any sense.
Well, I can understand the small eyes thing, but the round face, I don't know about that. But, I mean, yeah, so this kind of skews their perspective, right? Because they're used to...
Every girl who's thin being hot.
Yeah, pretty much. If a girl is thin, she's like, oh, shit, automatic 7. And so when they first get to Asia, these girls show a lot of attention to them because the white guy is tends to be a pretty good option for them.
Oh, and don't forget about the age thing.
Oh yeah, and they tend to be older than the guy as well.
Yeah, guys. A lot of guys, if you're from the States or from the West in general, you think 27 is young. No, it's not. Not over here in Asia. It's not. It's basically 25 is when girls are are over the hill. 25 is the American 30, pretty much. So it's really quite different. So you come over here and you're like, there's all these single thin 28-year-olds. Man, wow. Well, let's just say that they're very available.
Yeah, and they're very eager to find some guy to lock down.
And if she's dark skinned with small eyes.
And a round face.
So now don't get me wrong. If you're happy with that, have a field day. As what was there was a guy, Heichi, that was his handle, and I said, oh, what kind of during his boot camp, what kind of Korean girls do you like? He's like, oh well, they're all really quite beautiful, so I don't really care. They're all good. And Love G10 was like, that must be a really nice world to live in. So there you go.
Everyone is beautiful if they have a vagina.
Yeah, that was kind of his perspective. So but anyway, so a lot of Westerners essentially come to Asia with that perspective, and so you're right. They often do find that they can easily get girls that make them very happy. Okay, great. So moving on. So assuming that you're going after girls that actually, by Asian standards, are attractive, then in general it's going to be challenging to get them. No doubt about that. So how do you go about pursuing a girl over time? Oh, and actually, first of all, when we say difficult to get, I mean, what would you say for girls that you were really into? If you were able to eventually get them, how long has it taken? Right? Was it
months usually at the best?
Yeah, right. I mean, you're there's a one girl very recently, right? I mean, it took from the time you first met her to the first date. I mean, how long was that?
2 months, 3 months.
Yeah. That's been my experience too with most of the best girls that I got. It was always, a long-term project, and it wasn't like, they were being really responsive and really talking about, oh, I really want to meet you. It's just I'm so busy. Normally it was, oh, she hasn't read my message for the past 3 days. I guess I'll message her again. And then, oh, she read, right? A week later.
Yeah. If you like frequent disappointment and thinking you're not going to ever win, then getting hot girls might be for you.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
So true.
If constant rejection appeals to you, then super hot girls are where it's at.
I mean, it's just like anything. You have to have a strong stomach if you want to succeed.
Yeah.
You know. So, really, you're saying that you have her email. Now, this is not ideal unless, if I were you, actually, I would probably look her up on Facebook. That's probably what I would do. Because then you can message her on Facebook, and she probably has Facebook Messenger on her phone. So that's probably what I would do. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I mean, if you still want to pursue this girl, then yeah, I guess that would probably be the best option. You could also try Instagram. You might be able to find her through that, and people tend to be a bit more willing to talk through that, Instagram or Twitter.
Yeah, if you're not someone's friend on Facebook, you know, the message, like if you message them and you're not their friend, then it doesn't go into their normal message inbox.
Oh, that's right.
You have to like accept the request for the message. So probably Instagram is better because you can actually just see messages even if you're not following someone.
Yeah.
Right.
So probably Instagram is a better, like look her up on Instagram maybe.
Ooh, stand corrected. Very good. Yeah. That's good.
And as a last case, you know, you can use Facebook, I guess. Or as a very last case scenario, you can just email her.
Right. Yeah.
But
But
that
I
should
mean-
probably be your very last.
Yeah, if you email her, you have the risk of it just going to a junk folder and she never
That's
sees
true.
it.
That's true.
Yeah, and also, I don't know, it just seems like email, people just don't do personal things over email anymore. Well, at least in Asia. I don't even know if they
Yeah.
ever did.
That's
Japanese
very true, yeah.
Never did personal things over email except for the email that went to their phone.
Yeah.
And Koreans never. I mean, I think I used to use email because I traveled a lot. And but I can tell you, those girls that emailed me while I was away, they didn't actually meet me when I got back. So that shows you the value of email. So that's the first thing. I think you need to get on some kind of. You have to be able to contact her somehow. And you know, if that's Instagram, okay, I guess that's a good way to start. And then hopefully, since she's Korean, we can be sure, absolutely 100% certain that she has Kakao Talk. It's the official messaging service of Koreans. Kakao Talk is, it's a messaging app like WhatsApp or whatever, except way better than WhatsApp. And Koreans all use it. Koreans and those who love them all use Kakao Talk. And so you really want to switch her to Kakao Talk as soon as you possibly can. So if you end up hitting her up over Instagram, so if you don't have Kakao Talk, you should download it. Maybe this is your problem. Maybe this was the problem. You didn't have Kakao Talk on your phone. All right, so you need to get Kakao Talk.
Get Kakao Talk and message her every day.
He is being 100% serious about this. You should.
If you really,
definitely can and probably should if you have good stuff to send her.
if you really like this girl, you should, and she's Korean, you should message her every day, probably several times a day, just to be safe.
That's true. Absolutely. So, you know, that's quite normal behavior for Koreans. They're used to that. And not doing it will make them think that you're not very interested.
Even if you do it a lot, they still might think you're not that interested.
Yeah, and, well, yeah. I mean, it's possible. But I think more importantly, they probably just don't care that you're interested.
Yeah.
Which, any attractive Korean girl is likely not to care about most of the guys who are interested in her.
Yeah, and if this seems cold to you, next time you meet a hot Korean girl, ask to see just like the front page of her Kakao chat windows and just see how many unread messages she has. There was a girl we met here in Taiwan who has like a really nice body. Her face,
Which is this?
the pool party.
Arena.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Taipei Arena.
Okay.
But we looked at her text messages. She had 9,999 unread messages.
9,999 plus.
Plus.
So there were
yeah.
more. There was over.
That was the maximum amount that we could tell that she had. Her chat service actually broke because she had so many unread messages. It just couldn't handle it. So this
you have to admit, I mean, that body's a lot to handle.
I mean, that body is definitely really, really solid. Like,
okay, we understand that McConnell is not in favor of the girl who has tits and ass. We know. All right, but for the rest of your
quite the
folks-
contrary.
But that just gives you an example of what hot girls deal with on a day-to-day basis in Asia on these chat apps. Like, guys will just message them all the time with stuff, and if your chats aren't interesting, then she doesn't really have that much incentive to read them.
Yeah, I mean, even girls that you might not think are all that attractive get hit up a lot.
Especially Koreans.
Yeah, especially Koreans. But I mean, even here, right? I mean, big tits, HB big tits. She gets guys hitting her up quite frequently on Facebook, messaging her randomly, and she was getting a lot before she made her Instagram private. But before that, she has 634 followers on her Instagram. And she only follows 99 people, so most of them are just,
I met a girl at the last pool party. She had 5,000 followers.
Wow. 5,000.
And she was only following like 100.
Wow. And so are you following her now?
No, I stopped following her because she has a boyfriend.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I didn't really see the point. And I don't want to get confused by people I'm following for no reason.
Okay. Well, I was just going to say that, having a boyfriend here in Taipei doesn't mean that you won't be able to have sex with her. It just means that they're going to break your heart later.
Well, at least her boyfriend's not in Europe or some shit.
Oh,
so.
yeah, okay. All right, well, let's move along. Let's talk about something else. Okay, so this is very typical that you're going to have to message a girl, every day or several times a week over a period of several months, and with very possibly very little engagement on her part, and maybe the occasional reply. So that's just the way it works, and you have to be very creative and with what you send her. You need to send her things that are funny, fun, interesting, things that make you look good, things that show different aspects of you and your character, something like that, right? I mean, really, when you are messaging a girl under these circumstances, you're essentially sending her advertisements for how great you are. It's like a sales letter through pictures. If you do have an Instagram or a Facebook or something, you could send her that, because she might be inclined to go and check it out. This may help or hurt you depending on what you have on your Facebook and your Instagram, so and your other social media. So you should consider that before you send that to girls. But that can definitely help, because they'll go and check you out and see things. They feel like they know more about you, and they feel a lot more comfortable if they can go and look at sort of your public persona. So I recommend considering doing that. And being patient. You just have to be patient, and hopefully at some point she engages with you, right? I mean, if she's a flight attendant, maybe she is in your city at some point, or you tell her that you're going to be in her city at some point, and she's bored, or she's bored, and she goes, this guy's been messaging me, he seems kind of interesting, and yeah, sure, why not? I'll might as well meet him for a coffee or something. You just never know, and that's often how it goes down. And then you get that meet. It's like that first job interview, and you go in, and you got to make it happen. And then if you make it happen, then you can make it to round 2.
Yeah, no, that's always good.
All right. Any more comments about how to get girls that are? Oh, let's talk about this one-itis thing. because there's a lot of discussion about one-itis. I don't think it's one-itis if you're still dating other girls, right?
Yeah.
Or at least if you're pursuing other girls,
Yeah.
other options. I think one-itis, that arises from anything when you have few, if any, options.
Yeah.
You might have, you could get one-itis for your job when you have, people who are afraid of their job security, or just afraid that if they lose this job, they won't be able to do anything else.
Right,
and that's, that's a legitimate fear, but it's probably a bigger problem that you're not able to do anything else.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's quite normal to have maybe one or two girls that you're really, really into, and that you're like, that is totally what I want, and maybe you haven't quite gotten it yet, and in the meantime, you're seeing some other girls, and I mean, I think that's pretty normal. So I don't really consider that. I mean, I think that one thing that's funny about the West is they have this thing when it comes to dating where it's not a virtue to go after what you want. It's very strange. It's like you're supposed to not care about which girls you get or something. You're just supposed to get whatever girls happen to like you or something. And I think that's silly. In my life, I feel like all the time I should be trying to get exactly what I want. And I don't see anything negative about having this kind of a mindset. And I think maybe it's true that American girls don't respond to this. I find that hard to believe. But I don't have any experience there. But certainly in Asia, girls want to know that you're really into them. And actually, I was reading an article before that was talking about how the key to playing hard to get is not that you want to appear to be hard to get to others, but very enthusiastic about your current your current prospect, whoever you're with in that moment. So you want to make it seem like you have hundreds of Instagram followers and dates all the time, but actually you're not really that interested in those girls. But the girl that's right in front of you, really into that. And I think I'm pretty on board with that. I think that's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Next question was how to get girls to send you naked pics.
Oh, right, yeah. Woohoo! I'm a big fan of getting naked pics from girls. How about you guys?
I don't think I've ever gotten
I don't actually
that from
care at
girls.
all.
Yeah,
Oh, really?
I've never really asked.
What? You just rather take the pictures yourself is what you're saying.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, but I don't really care about having them send me.
That's so interesting. That's really interesting to me that it's always interesting to see what people are interested in and what they're not. I would think that someone who enjoys tying girls up would definitely like the idea of them sending him naked pictures,
But
being called master. You'd think that if you liked girls to call you master, then you'd also like them to send you naked pics on demand.
But he can't tie up the pictures.
Right, that's true.
I understand. I just, but that's what I mean. This is why it's so fascinating. Because, you just, things that you would think just totally overlap. Sometimes they don't. And, I don't know. Okay. All right. So neither of you guys get naked pics from girls?
No, not really.
Nope.
What about video sex? Video sex
I've
action?
never tried that.
I guess I have before, but I'm not. It doesn't really do much for me, so it's not something that I seek out.
Well, yeah. I mean, it doesn't
care
really
about
do much for me either.
Yeah.
But it's better than.
You have a good story about naked pics about the self-improvement program you put one of your girls on. She was feeling a little self-conscious about her body, so you put her on a program.
Really? Did I do this?
Yeah.
Me? You mean?
Yes, you RedpoleQ.
I did. What was it?
With Go-Go Dancer.
Oh. No, that was actually, it wasn't, it was a little bit different. That program was that she felt insecure.
Right, yeah.
But she wasn't insecure about her body. She was insecure about my interest level.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she was insecure about my interest level in her. So I thought I would give her something to do that would, help maintain my interest level in her. So, I had her sending me tit pics every day.
Oh.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
I thought-
We had a long distance thing going, so
Oh.
yeah.
I thought you were talking about the other day when he messaged.
Oh,
another
that's
girl,
also a good story. Yeah.
Another girl, a naked picture of another naked girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't do that. I guess you could, but it's probably not good if this is like the first time you're talking to them online. Anyway,
Definitely not.
So the way you want to work on getting naked pics from girls is, first of all, you have to get them sending you pictures, period, right? I mean, it's not like you could just one day be like, hey, let me see your tits, girl. And the girl's like, oh, really? You want to see him? Okay. I mean, it doesn't work like that. And you're talking about girls who you presumably haven't had sex with? It's unclear. Wait, let me read the question. Well, first of all, I want to know, how can I get naked pics from Asian girls that I meet randomly online from China, Korea, and Japan, quick and easy? And I also want to know how to make them really attached to me. So attached that they can't stop calling me and messaging me. If you can answer these two questions for me effectively, you are a dating god, bro. Okay. Well, maybe we should talk about the...
Do you really want that? Like that's like, I don't think you understand just how like bothersome it is dealing with girls who call and text you like all the time, get really pissed off, and like you're not constantly on call or on your phone checking their messages.
Yeah, I'm with you on this. I'm with Mr. Wright on this. Having girls constantly calling and I guess constantly texting is, I guess, okay. But, you know, the thing is, if someone girl is constantly texting you and you're not replying, she's kind of, something's a little bit off in the head with those girls. You know, this is actually interesting because if you do have this experience, actually one of the guys he's in Denmark, but he is messaging some Chinese girl, and she is in Switzerland and she's never met him, and actually, you know, Made You Look often has this situation with girls, right? Yeah, he often has this situation with girls, and it's really problematic, right? Because he was talking about how he's with one girl and then this other girl is calling him and messaging him, and how, you know, that's, yeah, well, I mean, you know, if you're with one girl, another girl's calling and messaging you and wondering why you're not picking up, you know, they get pretty upset. I mean, especially if it's like, you know, 1 o'clock or something.
They get to the point where they'll stalk your online presence and find pictures of you with other girls, then track down that girl, then contact that girl, and then ask her if she's banging you. And when she says yeah, then it causes problems.
That definitely can happen.
Definitely currently happening to certain people that we know.
But, you know, she wasn't actively tracking him down.
Well, we're not really sure how active she was about it, but we do know that she found this girl rather randomly, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That definitely is true. But the point is that I'm not sure you want girls that are that attached to you. And actually, what I would say is, you may think you want that, but I'm pretty sure you don't actually want that. Especially since you seem to be talking about multiple girls here. Because let's say, so it sounds like maybe you are doing some kind of long distance thing and that's why you can't meet these girls or something. It's unclear, but it says you're meeting these girls randomly online from China, Korea, and Japan. So the fact you're meeting them online from those 3 countries implies that probably you're not in any of those 3 countries. And if they become really attached and they can't stop calling you and messaging you, then you're going to have a real problem if any one of those girls decides to actually visit you. Because for however many days she's there, you're not going to be able to talk to the other girls, and they're going to wonder why suddenly you're so unavailable. And, you know, having set this pattern, I don't know exactly, whatever you say, they're probably not going to believe you. they're probably not going to believe. They just wouldn't. I mean, you could say, oh, unless you handle this early on, by early on not being available. But if you're early on not available, then they're not going to be calling and messaging you all the time because they know you're not available. So, it's really a problematic situation that you are setting yourself up for.
It's
However,
one of those things.
if you do really actually want that, go for girls that want to leave their country. All right, once again, I'm assuming that you are not in China, Korea, or Japan. So, girls who don't want to live in their country. 2, talk about paying for them to come and visit you in whatever country you're in. 3, go for girls that are, by Western standards, chubby. No, they're not chubby by Western standards.
No.
Curvy, that's what I meant. Go for girls that are curvy by Western standards. We mentioned earlier girls that are dark-skinned, although that's not as true in Japan. Actually, in Japan, a lot of those dark-skinned girls would be hard.
Yeah.
They're also not going to speak English.
Yeah. They also don't really want to leave Japan.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so if you're for Japan, Korea, and China, I guess the skin color won't help.
Go for Chinese girls.
Oh yeah, they all want to leave. That's true.
Or Southeast Asian girls.
Yeah, if you go for Southeast Asian girls.
Or Filipino girls.
Yeah, yeah. But what about for Japan, Korea, and China? How could you easily identify girls who...
Young students. So basically girls who just really want, maybe not to live abroad, but just want to visit some other country. They tend, and maybe a bit naive about men in general, tend to be really enthusiastic. They'll have a more romanticized idea of you and your country and whatever else.
Okay, so go for naive, inexperienced girls. That's true. They are more likely to call you nonstop and message you all the time. Yeah, that's probably true. So those are a few tips. I guess obviously emotional connection. If you express a lot of emotional attachment to them, then Chinese, Korean, and Japanese girls are not used to hearing profuse confessions of love, especially if you stick with the curvy girls. So, if you do romantic things for them, you could send them, you could take a picture of yours. This isn't a bad idea. Maybe I'll do this. Buy a rose, take a picture of yourself holding the rose, and send that picture to them. Then maybe press the rose and send it to them by the mail. That could work quite well. Sage had some really good tips a couple of years ago. He was saying go to the beach and put your name and her name in a heart in the sand. Take a picture of it and send it to her. As he said, it doesn't take too long. Well, it depends how many girls you're doing it for. So doing those kind of romantic things will get girls to be attached to you, but keep in mind, attached girls are easy to go crazy. Okay, now let's move on to the naked pics. I think a lot of this, the naked pic side, this is a side I'm much more familiar with because I'm not into girls being too attached and calling me and messaging me all the time, but I am into girls sending me naked pics. Big fan of that, and I don't know what's wrong with these two guys. See, here I was thinking that McConnell was a real perv. He doesn't even want naked pics. He's total square.
He's just young and naive.
I'll understand.
You'll understand when you're older. Yeah. So first of all, you got to get her sending you pics. Now, this is generally speaking not very hard with Chinese, Korean, and Japanese girls because they take a million pictures everywhere they go. And so, but oftentimes you got to get them started by just telling them things like, "Oh, what are you eating?" And they'll maybe tell you what they're eating. You say, "Oh, send me a pic." Then they send you a pic. You say, well, but I can't see you in the picture. Send a crying sticker or something. And she'll say, haha, okay, well maybe next time. Or maybe she'll just send you a pic because definitely she has one from when she was there. So there's no doubt about that. Or you could say, oh, why don't you send me a picture of you and your friends, right? Because a lot of times girls don't want to send you a picture of just them. They feel like embarrassed if they're the only ones in the picture that send a group shot. So you can start from there. Then later on, let's say if you're talking to them and they're at home. And if they're at home, you could be like, oh, what are you doing right now? They'll be like, oh, I'm watching TV. Or, I'm reading a magazine, or I'm doing my homework. Oh, great, well, send me a picture. And she'll say, oh, no, I can't, I'm not wearing makeup. You're like, oh, whatever, I'm sure you look great, I want to see what you look like right now. Send lots of anticipation, happy, please stickers. And then, and then maybe she'll send you a picture. But, so it could take some time to progress her from just sending you pictures of her from normal to sort of this kind of more intimate picture. Or she might say, no, I'll have to take a picture for you tomorrow before I take my makeup off. And, but at home, right? So then she's going to send you something like that. But, you need to get her to start sending you pictures of her and her body pics. Because normally they're going to take these selfies where it's mainly face. You can't really see the body. So what you got to do is, for example, maybe you're talking about her going swimming or going to a beach or having gone to a beach. You could be like, oh wow, you must look great in a bikini. Let me, send me a picture. And she might go, no, I'm shy. And you can say, oh well, everybody at the beach got to see it, but I don't. It's so sad. And then she might dig one up from whenever she was there. She'll probably find one. It'll probably be a picture where you really can't hardly see anything, like the pictures that they do now where she's like sitting on like a lawn chair or she's sitting on the beach on a towel and it's just like her legs down looking out onto the ocean. Have you seen these pics?
Oh yeah, of course.
Right. So that's likely to be the earliest first picture that you get from her, and you're gonna be like.
Well, if she's fat, you won't get those pictures, though. Probably get a lot of face pics or different angles.
Well, it depends, right? Because if this girl is experienced with foreigners, then she'll know that foreigners don't think she's fat. And then she might send those pictures.
It's possible.
I mean, I've certainly seen situations like that. Like where, often westernized Asian girls, they don't know they're fat. So, right, so you might start with that. Or another example might be, you could say to her, oh, she's like, oh, I'm getting ready for bed. And you could go, oh, are you sleep naked or are you wearing pajamas? No, I don't sleep naked, I'm wearing pajamas. Or you could just say, oh, are you sleeping naked? Just, no, of course not. And you go, okay, what are you wearing? Winnie the Pooh pajamas? I love saying that, Winnie the Pooh pajamas. And she'll go, no, I'm wearing whatever. And you go, oh, really? Well, send me a pic. So, now she's going to send you a pic of her outfit. So that's the next step, is to get her to send you body pics. Once you've got her sending you body pics, then you can start positively reinforcing by saying, oh, how sexy it looks. Or you can be like, oh, you should wear, shorter skirts or, whatever it is. And you start talking about, how she could be wearing sexier clothes. Now, most girls will wear sexy clothes at least sometimes. So, she'll either maybe send you sometime when she was dressed really sexy previously, or maybe if she goes out with her friends one night and she's all totted up, then you can get her to send you a picture where she's really dressed like that. And then you basically just positively reinforce from there. And that's pretty much the way to get girls to send you naked pics. Oh, I left out another great step. So if you talk to girls at night in Japan or Korea, or maybe China and Taipei in particular, girls usually shower at night. Shower and bathe at night. So, if you say, oh, what are you doing, getting ready for bed? And you go, oh yeah, I just got out of the shower. Oh, and you didn't send me a picture? I can't believe it. And she'll go, what do you mean? Why do I have to send you a picture? Well, because, you're really nice and sweet girl and you want me to be happy. And then she'll, and she probably won't send you a naked pic at this point, but she might send you like a shoulder up or something, or maybe like her back or something like that. And then, you can positively reinforce from there. Yeah. So, there you go. I forgot about that one. So, that's some simple steps on how to get a girl to send you naked pics. Woo! Yay! All right. Okay, now let's, we're going to head into the home stretch, which is day game versus night game. So I think what we want to talk about is maybe, just the benefits and detriments, the pros and cons of day game versus night game. So let's start with talking about day game, because day game comes before night game. Okay, so what are some of the pros and cons of day game?
The main benefit of day game, I think, is that in night game you have to compete with all of the stimulus. So you're competing with music at the club, you're competing with alcohol, you're competing with lights, darkness, lots of people dancing, just lots of people are just basically being assaulted by stimulus at nightclubs and also at bars. Even if you're at a bar or a lounge, there's still a lot of stimulus relative to what there is, outside during the day. So you can be a lot. You don't have to be as loud comparatively. You don't have to stand out as much because simply if you go and approach somebody during the daytime, then you're already differentiating yourself from the rest of the environment, and you're already the most interesting thing in the environment. So I think that day game has a lot less stimulus that you're competing against. So it's a lot easier in that sense. And then I guess the benefits of night game are that people are out to be social. So, whereas you might get people who are in the middle of their day and you're interrupting them, whereas at nighttime, people are expecting to be social and they're expecting people to meet them or to be introduced to new people or whatever. So you might get a lot less resistance, or you might have to fight against, you might have to fight against all of the just normal stuff that people go about during the day. So it might, sets might open easier.
At
night.
At night.
At
yeah,
night.
That can be true, but at the same time, the interactions are less meaningful, right? So while you can, but a lot of girls will just go, oh yeah, but it's just it's just me. It was just meeting someone at the club, whatever, and they don't really want to meet guys at clubs because if you're dating her and if you end up dating her 3 months down the line, you're like, where did you meet? You're like, oh, we met at this club. People don't really want to say that. Ironically, it seems to be more, I think it's probably more acceptable to meet guys off of Tinder now than it is to meet a guy at a club.
Yeah.
Oh,
Which
yeah.
is kind of outrageous when you think about it. So other pros and cons?
Those are the big ones that I can think of. Any more?
Well, I'd say, due to a lot of that, it tends to be easier with girls during day game. Mm-hmm. For various reasons, like some of them being that if you meet a girl during the day, she very likely has less things she has to do. If she's like not walking anywhere, she's just standing around, or if she's in a coffee shop or a bookstore, she's there because she has free time and she's bored. She's not there because she has to find that one book to finish her dissertation or some shit, or she's far more willing to talk to you, and it kind of fits in with that romantic image of this chance encounter with this handsome stranger, and he's funny and charming, and then he takes her home and then bangs her in the ass. They leave that last bit out.
That's how Golden Boy does it.
But like you said with night game, in night game everything's more social. Everyone kind of expects you to talk to girls, so there's a lot less pressure in that regard. But on this, by the same token, there's a lot more competition. You're competing with all the other guys who are going out and trying to talk to these girls. Whereas during day game, no one is really hustling that much to try and talk to all these girls, depending on the country.
Yeah, that's true. Because I guess in Korea and Gangnam, there's a lot of street approaches happening. In particular, but in other places it's not so common. Definitely. It's much easier to have an interaction in day game in general because of, as McConnell was pointing out, the lack of distractions. You know, as Mr. Wright pointed out, if she's sitting at a coffee shop, she's there because she doesn't have anything to do. And there's the, as he said, the romantic ideal can be realized. The fact that it's spontaneous or appears to be spontaneous from her perspective is one of the things that makes it so she's more willing to engage with the guy who she's met in day game. She assumes lots of positive traits about you in a way that she doesn't assume positive traits about you if she meets you at a nightclub, unless you know people that she knows and that sort of thing. So, you know, do you have a preference?
Probably day game, but I think that you should just do both to get better. Because if you're good at night game, it makes your day game better, and if you're good at day game, it makes your night game better. So, you know, if you should always practice both, I think. And both are fun for different reasons. And they're both good. It's just that it just depends on your mood or whatever.
Yeah, I think the other thing that's nice about day game is that, you know, you can meet, if you could meet the exact same girl at a club, but if you meet her in daytime, she's going to be a lot more responsive.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's another nice thing about day game. And, you know, and the other thing is that, you know, if you go to a club, while it's true that when you go to a club, you have like, you know, this 4-hour or 5-hour block of time where the girl has nothing else that she's really doing. I mean, she's just going to be there, or maybe some at another club, but she just wants to have a good time and is dressed up, hopefully, if you're going to the right places. Then she's dressed up and looking really hot, which I really like. I'm a big fan of girls dressing up and looking really hot. I know there are guys out there who don't really care about that stuff so much for some reason that I don't understand. But for me, the fact that girls are really dressed up at night game is a big plus, a huge, huge plus. And that was totally not what I was originally going to say. I just started getting excited thinking about girls all dressed up at night.
Well, I would add that if you meet a girl during the day and she looks good, then it's far more likely that you'll look better at night. Whereas the opposite is not often true.
Yeah, you got to develop the special the PUA eye so that you can see through the darkness and the makeup
and the smoke
and the smoke, so you can like know what you're really gonna look like. I've actually never had this problem where I mean normally I meet a girl afterwards and I'm like, oh, it's better than I thought. So you know, well, yeah, that's normally actually my typical experience. Although sometimes I'm like, why didn't she try and look hot at all today? So occasionally I'm a little bit disappointed, but it's not because the girl is less attractive than I thought. It's because she put in less effort than I was expecting, hoping for. Let's see. Okay. I think there's something else I want to say about day game versus night game. Oh, yes. The other thing that's nice about day game is that you can meet girls without. So in night game you have to like block aside some time, this time period where you're going to go out and you can meet girls, and you only have 4 or 5 hours. But in day game you can meet girls any time, really. I mean, actually, I approached a girl just today, right? On the way, I had a meeting, a lunch meeting, and I came back. I got off the train platform, and I saw this girl, you know, standing on the platform all by her lonesome, and you know, I was, oh, you know, that girl looks pretty young, and so you know, so I moseyed on over, and you know, and I talked to her, and you know, maybe we'll be able to meet up sometime before summer vacation is over, and she has to go back to school. University. Be clear about that. And you know, and that's just something, you know, you can't do in night game. You know, in a certain respect, night game is very deliberate. You know, you have to decide to go out to the club, whereas day game is more, you know, you can just, it's like an Easter egg. You know, you're walking around doing your normal day thing, and bang, you're presented with this great opportunity. And so I think that's an aspect of day game that's also really, really nice. Okay, well, I think we'll close it off for now. And thanks a lot, guys, for joining us.
Yep.
No
And,
problem.
Yeah, you guys too. I was talking to the listeners. But yeah, thanks to you guys too, Mr. Wright and McConnell. And yeah, we will be back again next time. Bye-bye.